discussing about some important points about gravitational potential energy. Firstly, U is equal to minus gmm by r. That means the gravitational potential energy is minus because the gravitational field or the gravitational force is an attractive type of the force. That means the work is done by the field. So the minus sign. Point number 2. As the body goes away from the surface of the earth or the center of the earth, the gravitational potential energy increases. Why increases? Because it becomes less negative. At infinity, U is equal to minus gmm divided by infinity, that is equal to 0. So at infinity it becomes maximum. That means when the body is going away from the surface of earth, its potential energy increases. That is, it becomes less negative, but at infinity it is maximum, that is equal to 0. The negative energy of a body in a field, whether it is an electron or a mass, shows a bounded state. If its total energy is positive, that means it is free. If the total energy is 0, it is also free. Point number 3 is, if a body in a field is moved from point R1 to R2, what is the change in potential energy? The change in potential energy will be equal to integral of from R1 to R2 gmm by x square into dx. So the change in potential energy will be equal to gmm integral of 1 by x square is equal to minus 1 by x from R1 to R2. That is minus gmm into 1 R2 minus 1 by R1. Or we can say, if we take minus common, that minus and minus will become plus, and this in the brackets, the equation will be 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. That is gmm into 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. Now, here we can say, if R1 is greater than R2, if R1 is greater than R2, by cross multiplication, the change in potential energy will be negative. If R1 is less than R2, the change in potential energy will be positive. Let us calculate the change in potential energy of a body that is taken from the surface of earth through an altitude h. That means our R1 will be equal to the capital R, our R2 will be equal to R plus h, because it is displaced by an altitude h or by a height h. We will see what is the change in potential energy. As already discussed, the change in potential energy will be equal to gmm into 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. Now we will substitute the values of R1 and R2 and will calculate what is the change in potential energy. The change in potential energy delta U will be equal to gmm into 1 by R minus 1 by R plus h, because R1 is equal to capital R, R2 is equal to R plus h. Getting 1 by R common, so that comes equal to gmm divided by R into 1 minus R divided by R plus h. Now, if we get R common in the denominator here from this term R plus h, it becomes equal to gmm divided by R into 1 minus R divided by R into 1 plus h by R. Simple calculation. This R and R goes. Now 1 plus HR in the denominator has got power of plus 1. If it is brought to the numerator, the power changes to minus 1. That means delta U will be gmm divided by R into 1 minus 1 plus h divided by R whole raised to power minus 1. Now expanding this by binomial theorem and neglecting the higher powers, we get equal to gmm divided by R into 1 minus h divided by R plus neglecting the higher powers. So we have delta U equal to GMM divided by R into 1 minus, multiplying it by minus 1 minus 1 plus H divided by R. 1 and 1 goes, so it delta U becomes equal to GMM into H divided by R square. Simple calculation. Gm by R square is equal to the acceleration due to gravity. That means it is equal to Gm into H or mgh. That is the potential energy or the change in potential energy of the body when it is displaced through an altitude h.